Closer, sorry. What I'd like to talk to you about is a pluralism. A lot of the times when I've gone out into the community, especially in uniform, and people seeing I'm wearing a cross, they have a strange look on their face. They're saying, oh, you're a sellout because you work in a pluralistic environment. I'm like, no, I've never sold out. I've never stopped being who I am. I've never stopped. So let me explain a little bit what it means about pluralism in the military. And I'm so grateful our Navy chaplains are here, and our Army chaplains here, and our Chair Force chaplains are here. Okay, come on. There's a lot of playful banter, and I love that amongst the military.
I control the money.
And on the 18th, there's a major cleanup day here in the area, so if you would like to volunteer, I'd love to have you. In the military, our role as chaplains is to either perform or provide. Every individual in the military, in their constitutional right, has a faith. And it's our role to make sure that faith is observed to the best of our abilities. We're not sellouts. I'm not changing my philosophy or anything to that effect. What I am going to do is if I have a brother or sister that needs their faith and I can't do it myself, I will find someone who does it. In hopes that if that person sees me again, they're going to talk to me and say, hey, chaplain, hey, can I talk to you about my family? Hey, can you, pray for me here? Hey, fine. I'm very confident in who my Jesus is. I'm not changing for nobody, but I love them. I'm not going to go in Walmart and start opening my Bible, even though that does sound kind of fun, and locking the doors and hitting James. Anyway, I would like to do that, but it's not what God has afforded me to do. See, I came in the military enlisted, and then I sucked at it, so they made me an officer. And in that time, I've learned how to be an assistant to the chaplain and to be one. And along the way, I fell in love with those that I work with. And to fall in love with them is to follow after His command to love them and serve them. And to serve them is to mean to respect where they are. So I am a chaplain, like all of us here, to everybody, but we're not a chaplain for all faiths. We have different representatives who do that. So if I can't do it, sometimes I like talking, as you can imagine. I will find someone who can. And having that relationship with my other brothers in arms, I can call them, hey brother, I got someone that's coming to see you. Hey, can I bring them to you? And that soldier's going to respect me and care about me because he sees that I care about them. All right? Now, I'm not going to say, no, let me adjust my philosophy. Let me turn to my Jewish words. No, it's not me. It's not who I do. That's not what chaplains do. We find someone because really they're better equipped at speaking their faith than we are. But we provide things for our individuals. We do our worship services, our religious rites and sacraments, our ordinances, holy days of observance. And you'll see it here in this building, what is a collective, what I call an ecumenical type building, owned by the government at the bequest of the installation commander. We make sure that we can provide space for our religious leaders that have a congregation that needs space, either this building or another building on base. And it's my role as his deputy, as his errand prior idol, is to make sure the building is run in such a way that accommodates everyone that we can accommodate. So you'll see me walking around, checking things, making sure no kids are getting in trouble, making sure the bathroom ceilings are not falling down and everything is flooded. That's part of my role. Also to do events and things of that effect, just to make sure that we're opening up to the community an opportunity to worship. We also pastoral care and counseling, which is what I enjoy doing. And it's kind of all stealthy like when you're sitting down with someone, because you know no soldier is going to sit in front of you and tell you the truth the first statement. They're not. They're going to tell you what you need to hear so that you win them on their side, and you know that's not true. I failed that as a lieutenant. But I learned, listen twice as much as you speak. Because you might find other things. You might find that loneliness. You might find that suffering. And you might find fear. Not only being in the military, but dealing with what you have to deal with on the outside world. Because it's not easy wearing this uniform and family and support and fulfilling the mission. And especially chaplains, you hear things that you have to keep to yourself. You hear things about your commander that you can't repeat, and they're also the one that signed your OER, but you've got to keep it in yourself. So there are very little opportunities for chaplains. So if you have a ministry out there for chaplains, I'd encourage you to keep it going. Because it's very, very little in my lifetime have I seen a ministry for chaplains. To vent, to cry, to get it off their chest. Because you know something? We're people too. And so are you. Now, how do we advise? We do something that's very important to the commander. Well, on the battalion level, on the brigade level, division level, this level, we make sure that our individuals that we're working with, which is our soldiers, our airmen, our Naval, National Guard, whoever's associated with us, they are being taken care of as far as their faith. We advise the commander, all right, man, sir, this is who you have in your formation. These are the holidays that are coming up that they must observe. This is how we're getting it. This is the money, the purchase orders that we put in to make sure that the foods that they have, the event that they have, is being taken care of. That's part of what our administrative role is. We advise the staff on morale and moral issues. Now, I had an awesome opportunity to serve time in prison at Leavenworth. I was a director of pastoral care at Fort Leavenworth a few years back. Did not want to be there. I can still hear that clunk behind me as I went. But as I got to know individuals, God broke my heart. I do believe in prison reform. Even as an independent Baptist. Because it's needed. The compassion that we need to show people. And discipline. But while I was there, I saw a multiplicity of different needs. And if I went as a Baptist to my Muslim soldiers or inmates, and I showed them hatred or disdain, do you think they're going to talk to me? What if they're near her, wanting to harm themselves? And God put me in that place at that moment to keep that from happening. Because of my stupidity and prejudice, it kept them. And I walk away at the end of the day and look at myself in the mirror and say, did I fulfill God's mission? No. So I provide for them. I keep an open heart and mind to His calling, because it's not my calling. It is God's calling. It's not your ministry. It is His ministry. And we're here to fulfill that. And there's a lot of peace if you adopt that philosophy. Because when you make a mistake, when you do the wrong thing, or just not in the mood to preach, you remember, God, you chose me even in my weaknesses. But we provide for the information to our commanders about the morale, the moral issues, and how we can address it. One thing I've learned in the Army, never go to your commander with a problem unless you have some solutions. Because they may provide solutions you may not want to hear. So if you see trends and problems going on, prejudice issues, you're having discrimination, you make a beeline to command, ma'am, sir, this is what I see. This is how we're getting on that right now. This is how I believe that we need to address it. We also advise on ethical issues, maybe religious trends, things that we need to do. You're hearing, because you hear a lot. Of course, we're not revealing knowledge that we know, individual stuff. But we have enough information to inform the commander to shift fire, to go in different directions, to be able to build that team. Because if you're not battle ready, what's the point being here? We're here to do that. I love being an Army chaplain. I praise God that I'm retiring soon, but who knows, things may shift. I do appreciate you being here today. If you have any questions, just grab us in the hallway. We'll be glad to introduce you to our ministries, introduce you more to our base. Okay? Thank you for coming.
Okay, so at this time I'm going to ask Chaplain Shane Smith to come up and give our next several slides.
Yeah, I guess it is.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, something like that. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. As I said, I am Chaplain Shane Smith, and I'm so excited that this day has finally come. As Chaplain Worrell pointed out earlier when we started, the best way to kind of describe my job right now, I'm going to say, in his words, Special Projects Officer. Okay? Now, that sounds like a made-up position, right? Well, technically it is. But this is one of those special projects, okay? So there is an output, definitely, to it. And it has been a joy, an absolute joy, to put all of this together and to see it come to fruition is such a blessing for me personally. So thanks to everyone for being here, if I've met you or not, as of yet. But it's my honor this morning to talk about whether you're Air Force, Navy, Army, three core functions of the chaplaincy. And as I talk about these, this to me is being there with soldiers and airmen, Marines and sailors just during the absolute toughest moments, really, of their lives. Whether it's a death or serious injury of a soldier, whether it's a couple, that's walking through a difficult marriage. That's what is described here in these three core. This kind of breaks down in three, succinctly what we do as chaplains and chaplain assistants. I would say the most important things that we do as chaplains and chaplain assistants. And like it says, and so they provide a clear and consistent way of conveying expectations for Army leaders. In other words, this is what our commanders expect of us, whether we're at battalion level, brigade level, division, corps, just moving on up the chain. Okay. So let me talk about nurture the living, and this is probably the most common one. What we're doing right now even could be considered, nurture the living. But religious services, all the different religious services that we offer here on Post, whether that be Protestant worship, Catholic worship, earth-based religions, whether it be Latter-day Saint service, Jewish Shabbat that we have here on Fridays, all the different worship services that we provide for the various faith groups. Pastoral counseling. This is one that chaplains do, I would say on a daily, on a very regular basis. It's just sitting down with soldiers and family members, retirees, DA civilians, all of those folks, like we were talking about earlier, who right now are experiencing some really difficult moments. A lot of uncertainty going on with the government shutdown, and with the Army changing, with our military changing, with our structures changing, and a lot of uncertainty, like I said, around all of those things. That places stress, a lot of stress, on families and marriages, especially when you don't know when the pay is going to be turned back on. Okay, so sitting down people and walking through those things is extremely important. Religious education. Some of us might know that as Bible studies. Sunday school, out in the civilian context. We do that, here in the military framework as well. We also offer. We'll talk about it. down the line here in just a minute, you know, Protestant women of the chapel, Catholic women of the chapel. Okay, so in other words, there's something for everyone. Something for everyone in the chapel environment. Marriage enrichment training. We call this building strong and ready teams is what we call it in the Army context. The Air Force and the Navy probably have similar programs as well, where we take soldiers and families, couples away for a weekend, and we just focus on relationship training. And I'll tell you that has been some of the more critical moments that I have had in my ministry as a chaplain. Because you get couples come to these things that are struggling with a wide variety of personal issues within their marriage. Okay, and by the time that we leave, by the time that the weekend is over, we've given them some tools, that they can take, back home and put to work in their marriages. And I've had more than one family tell me, "Hey, thank you for coming and providing this training." I remember one that we did, a few months ago back in up in the DC area, where a couple, told us at the end of the weekend, "Hey, we were thinking about separating before we came here this weekend, and now we're not going to do that." I get emotional talking about that because it meant that much to me to hear that we had a part in saving a marriage from going south. All right. Special occasion observances, prayer breakfast, and national prayer breakfast. That's an annual event that we do here on Fort Eustis. A lot of work and resources goes into making that happening. And of course, a ton, of other ministries that the individual battalions and brigades do on a daily basis for soldiers and families. Care for the wounded. We provide direct prayer, rights, and supports to wounded soldiers on the battlefield. This will have immense importance, especially in the type of warfare that we're looking at, in terms of our future operations and potential enemies that we could face down the line. And those type of environments would be unlike anything that we have faced in the past 20, 30, 40 years or so. Okay. So, casualty ministry is something that every chaplain, is familiar with, regardless of what branch of military service they serve in. If you've ever heard in the civilian community, I'm sure you have, of clinical pastoral education. That is an educational opportunity that we provide in the military framework as well. I know lots of Army and Air Force chaplains, that have participated, and I'm sure the Navy probably does the same thing as well. Because, as you know, when someone is in the hospital, period, okay, that is not a pleasant experience. I've done an iteration of clinical pastoral education myself, and just the emotions and the stress and the uncertainty that people are going through when they find themselves in medical situations that they did not plan on. Okay, so this is a very critical service that we offer here in the military. And of course, honor the fallen. Honor the fallen. This is also one that's very close and personal, to me as well. Whenever I'll call it loss goes with the territory, as it were. As we serve. I've been a part of. I've lost count, really, of the number of memorial ceremonies and services and funerals that I've conducted, over the course of my career. And of course, this would be the most solemn of those. And I'll try to explain, some of the nuances there. You may have seen military funerals before, like if you've ever visited Arlington National Cemetery. That's probably, Chaplain Worrell has served there. He can tell you more about it than I can. But that's the most vivid example of what a full honors military funeral would look like, with the caissons and all of that. Providing honors to American sons and daughters. Memorial ceremonies, those are the ones that we probably conduct more often than not. A memorial ceremony probably looks and sounds like a funeral, but the intent of the memorial ceremony is one, to honor the soldier that was lost, and two, to provide comfort, to that soldier's battalion, company, and platoon. Dignified transfers. All right. So if you've ever seen or familiar with mortuary affairs at Dover Air Force Base up in Delaware, whenever a soldier is lost, overseas, that soldier will be transported by air to Dover Air Force Base, taken off the aircraft by a team led by a chaplain, and transferred to their final resting place, usually their home of record or wherever they're going to be buried from there. So that's essentially what a dignified transfer of remains looks like. Along with that, counseling to the unit and the family, next of kin notification. That will be the first thing that happens whenever a loss occurs. We travel in uniform, to the home of the person that's been lost, and deliver the news to the family, as well as providing that care and counseling in the moment to that family that's experienced the losses as well. Prayers at memorial ceremonies and dedication. That's it. Hold on. We'll get to start that here in just a second. Okay. Prayers at memorial ceremonies and dedications. To me, there's no such thing as an official ceremony in the U.S. military that does not include a chaplain, performing an invocation, for that. So we literally provide religious support at everything, and at every key moment, at everything that happens on a government installation. And lastly, assisting and tracking temporary internment during war. So in combat, we would assist mortuary affairs in providing whatever temporary honors are needed while active combat operations are going on. I know that's a lot. So one of the things that we'll be doing later is if you've got any questions of us, especially reference this, please let me know, and we will be happy to provide a little bit more of a more specific breakdown on how that works. And I'll be followed by Staff Sergeant Evans.
All right. Hello, my name is Staff Sergeant Ariel Evans. You may call me Staff Sergeant Evans. Today we'll be discussing the unit ministry team composition. It's just an informational brief. I'm going to start with 2 quotes. The first one's going to be by Honorable Dan P. Driscoll, the Secretary of the Army. At this moment in the world history, our nation requires her army to move further, faster, and fight harder than any other force on earth. How does that play a role in ours? Well, our Chief of Chaplains, Chaplain Major General Bill Green, Jr., our 26th Chief of Chaplains, stated, "Our chaplain corps builds Army spiritual readiness so that America's soldiers can fight our nation's wars and win and thrive in life afterward." So what does that mean? Our big picture, right? UMT and Army operations. That's basically why you guys are here, to learn what we do as unit ministry teams, right? So the UMTs provide religious support across all military operations, adapting to various conditions and missions. They impact the human dimension, enhancing morale and resilience through religious support activities. The smaller picture is, the overview is, consists of at least 1 chaplain, 1 religious affairs specialist. So us as an Army, we embed our UMTs in every division, every brigade, every battalion. And each of those fall down and have their own little branches. And we have 2 people covering mass people, right? So imagine that. Everything we've talked about today is having those unit ministry teams cover down and give that spiritual support regardless of religion, beliefs, or faith. And I feel like the Army is leading the way in a lot of ways, not just because I am Army, obviously, but having them embedded. The Air Force is trying to keep up and trying to, steal ideas. So they keep their people all at garrison and they just throw them out whenever needed. But we embed our folks to ensure that we provide that religious support. So for the chaplains, as you see, the professional military religious leaders, their roles and responsibilities, they address religious needs and well-being of personnel. They assess the impact of command policies and develop programs for resilience. They also create and implement religious support plans and manage religious facilities, as you guys are in one today. Analyze local religious traditions and their impact on operations. The professional military religious leader part of it, they conduct religious services and provide pastoral care. I believe we've spoken that of different like Bible studies, services on Sundays, those type of things. They also facilitate the free exercise of religion for all personnel, which Chaplain Williams gave us a quick overall brief on that. Perform religious duties in accordance with their endorsing organizations, as Chaplain Worrell had discussed earlier. Support religious needs and confinement facilities and manage chapel resources, as Chaplain Harlow Curtis had spoke about. Now we go back to the 56 mics. I feel like we get shunned a little bit and outshined, but that's what we chose. We chose to be the background and to give that support to the chaplains and to our units. We were established to assist the chaplains, right? And the chaplains, of course, took advantage of it, and it became a big ordeal. So we got renamed, we got rebranded to the Religious Affairs Specialists in about 2015. Now, our capabilities and competencies, we're the combatant roles. That's why we keep the chaplains in line. We can fight, we can shoot, and all that good stuff, right? We provide the religious support. We are the religious support provider. We plan and provide religious programs and activities. Like I said, we're the background to the madness. So Sergeant Harris put this on, but Chaplain Kime is the face of it, right? We all know the work, who did the work, sir.
You're absolutely right.
The religious support staff advisor. We advise on religious needs, spiritual well-being, and impacts of command policies. We're the enforcers, right? Our specific tasks. We provide religious support and crisis intervention. We manage supplies, facilities, and equipment. Like I said, more background things. You guys just see the facility and everything in it. We are the providers of that. Of course, Chaplain Williams is the one that, approves of those purchases and other things, but we're the ones that make it happen. We also assist in developing the Army values and life skills. So as enlisted, yes, our supervisors are the chaplains, but we look to the soldiers because not every soldier is going to want to talk to the rank of that officer. So they come to us instead as that stepping stone to get that need, that the spiritual need that they are requesting. The UMTs, we integrate and collaborate. Us working together, the chaplains and the 56 MIC, the religious affairs specialists, we collaborate closely to provide comprehensive religious support, not just to the unit, but to the community. The religious affairs specialist operates under the supervision of a chaplain. But like I said, we do the grunt work, right? So effective teamwork is crucial, with specialists sometimes performing independent functions. Yes, we are religious affairs specialists, but we still are a soldier at the end of the day. We still have more responsibilities outside of that position. We have to go to the range, we have to do certain trainings and everything. So there's more to our role than what you guys normally would see. In summary though, the unit ministry team plays a vital role in the Army by providing religious and moral and spiritual support to soldiers and their families. Chaplains serve as advisors and religious leaders, addressing the well-being of personnel and the impact of command policies. The religious affairs specialists support these efforts by planning and executing religious programs, managing resources, and providing crisis intervention. Their collaboration ensures that the UMT can effectively support the mission and enhance the resilience and morale of the operational force. Understanding the roles and responsibilities of both chaplains and the religious affairs specialists is crucial for appreciating the comprehensive support they provide. Their work not only impacts the physical and informational dimensions, but also strengthens the human dimension, which is essential for maintaining a resilient and effective military force. Now, do I have any questions? No? That is my view. Thank you.
And he's back. All right, so like we said, I just want to give you a brief overview of our chapel schedule. And again, what a terrific chapel community. I've enjoyed the last few months working with this great team of people. They truly do a lot to provide for everyone. So our Roman Catholic Mass every Sunday. These are all the chapel services that happen in this building proper. Okay, we're a little spread out, but our Catholic Mass is pretty big, pretty well attended, I must say. Roman Catholic Mass, traditional Christian Protestant service every Sunday at 11 o'clock. And I think we've got some folks here from that service. I preach in that service as well as several others in the room. Our earth-based religious observance, monthly on the full moon. I gotta say, you might want to speak to that a little bit. We're familiar how all that works. Okay, and our Jewish Shabbat service every Friday at 1800 right here in this building over in room 34. As mentioned earlier, that is Chaplain Shamuel Felsenberg, the artist formerly known as Tradoc. Yeah. He will be, like they said, the new T2Com chaplain. Okay. Also, over in our chapel annex, where myself and Chaplain Time work, is where our Latter-day Saint service is typically held with my good friend, Chaplain Paul Jackman. Every Sunday, is that 10:30? Is that still correct, sir? Okay, awesome. And I think last slide. And this is one of our newest service that we offer here. I know we've also got several brother chaplains who preach that service as well. Our Fort Eustis Community Chapel service has grown a lot, if I understand correctly. A lot of our AIT soldier population and younger soldiers and families have been attending this service. It's been a joy to hear that and see that grow and come to fruition. So that's just a microcosm, a snapshot of our chapel community and what we are currently providing here, in addition to our population that attends at your congregations as well. Yep. We got one more. Yes, we do. How could I forget that one? My apologies, because our Protestant women of the chapel are amazing. Not just because they fed us yesterday. They did. Okay. But it's really awesome. It's Protestant women of the chapel and its sister organization, the Catholic women of the chapel, are found on basically every installation across our formation, and provide in addition to Bible study, I would say also support for many military wives across the faith community. And also our men's ministry, I know, is pretty active. With a regular Bible study every week, as well as several fellowship opportunities that they make available throughout the year as well. So our chapel is growing and continues to grow all the time. So we appreciate, again, everyone being here and all the support that you offer us as we continue to build the ministry here. Thank you.
So you might be asking, so what? Right? Now, I appreciate you all being here, but I want to talk for a few minutes about just what I see this as today, how we're working together, and I'm doing it too. I was the guy pointing to everybody to back up behind the pulpit. behind the lectern, and I'm doing it again. But I think there's a lot of things we're doing well. So as I look at this next slide, you are doing a lot for our military. We've mentioned that a number of times today. Again, 80% of the people that are plugged into religious services are plugged in Outpost. And that's in every ministry represented here today. And so I want to thank you for that. I believe you provide great support for our people that are involved in your community and to the veterans as well. We have a heavy veteran and retiree population on Fort Eustis, on Langley Air Force Base, and around both installations as well as Norfolk. And I just want to say thank you for that. You provide spiritual care and counseling. You take care of funerals, honoring our fallen, and a lot of those are partnering with our military as we honor those who have served our country well. You also provide veteran support and potentially employment. I've met a few people today, their prior service took off the uniform and went to go serve in a ministry location, and that's amazing to us, right? I think about what I want to do when I grow up again in 5 to 10 years, and okay, God, what's next? And I see myself going back to a local church ministry. And so that's amazing to me that there are churches out there, there are ministries out there providing that support for veterans as well. What we're doing for you, and I think this is a partnership again, right? I think we're providing time, talents, and resources. I hope that the people that are in your buildings, that are part of your ministries, are giving back to you as well. That you see people with shorter haircuts and the walk that we learn, however, through the military, volunteering to keep your ministry communities going. And we're providing pastoral counseling. Each of us is trained in counseling, and we get an opportunity to do that. We have people that are available to support the community as well. Worship service and event support. We get to serve here at Fort Eustis as the Religious Support Office and provide a number of opportunities to the community. This is one of those opportunities to bring us together, to connect, and to look forward to what's coming up next. Ministry of Presence. We've kind of talked around this, but this is one of those things that's the biggest blessing to me of being a unit pastor, unit chaplain, is I say I'm the mayor's pastor. And so at each different level that I've served in the military, I get very, very clear guidance from my commanders. They say, chaplain, go do what you do, right? And it's one of those, like, if the chaplain's not doing, if the religious affairs specialist is not doing what they should be doing, everybody notices. If they are doing what they should be doing, nobody notices. And so it can be a bit of a thankless job. And it's cool to have people like Colonel Carpenter who come in and make comments like that. I think I owe him some money later. But we get the ability to go wherever that formation goes to provide ministry. In 2000, get my dates right, in 2013, we judge our timelines by our duty station, if you don't know that. So I have to think about where was I and when was I and then what was the date. So in 2013, I went to airborne school as a chaplain. I learned how to fall out of a plane, and it's not even falling with style. So, but a number of people asked my wife, why is Mark going to airborne school? And her answer was, if the people who have to jump in want a chaplain, the chaplain has to jump in with them. Because that's a contested area. The unit jumps into this place to seize that airfield. If they want a chaplain with them, the chaplain has to go in with them. If they could drive, or if I could drive, then they could drive. And so we provide support to our units across the base. Here I get to serve at the installation level, at the garrison level, so I get to check on the civilian teammates that aren't here right now and make sure they're taken care of. So they get texts off and on, hey, checking in. They can't do any work right now. We also provide community and social involvement. So we go to community events and connect with the Hampton Roads Military Advisory Council and that kind of thing. We're going to talk about this a little bit as we tee up the next event in a couple slides here as we get to do a Q&A next. But here's what we can do to better together. I think there's an opportunity for community service. I think it's good for us in uniform to find opportunities to plug into your communities. If you see a chaplain that you'd love to have as part of your service, we'd love to provide an opportunity to preach scripture or to plug in whatever. Some of you have hosted us for world religions training. But for us to be involved in your community so that people know some of the things that we do to take care of military. Mutual care and support. I think this is an opportunity to build that going forward. Crisis response care. I will not talk on this for extensive time, but there's a chance, right? We talk about the next war. Our military is re-gearing. That's some of the transformation we've already talked about today. We've lost 2 4-star commands. We're thinking about what does the next war look like. And I'll be honest, I don't want to do it. I really don't. And I think the best way to say that is nobody wants peace more than those who are prepared to fight for it. And so we talk about what does that look like going forward? How do we prepare? How do we prepare our soldiers, our airmen, our families for that? But some of that is you all taking care of us, right? If we talk about the balloon going up or the stuff hitting the fan, I won't go any more than that or whatever, right? We don't want to do that. But if we have to, we're ready. And I appreciate the support of this community to make sure that the people are taken care of. And then casualty notification and care. That's a possibility down the road. We can talk about that as that comes up. But I think you heard that a chaplain and an NCO at least, if not an officer, goes and knocks on each door of a family member who lost a soldier. And I believe that's true for the most part in the Air Force as well, when you can. Just to be able to tell somebody, hey, we care about you, and we provide a direct message from the Secretary of the Army to that loved one who's lost their service member on active duty. So those are things we can do going forward, but what I wanted to do, we've asked a few times for questions and answers, but before we get to Q&A, I want to call 3 people up. One of them may have to be called from what she's doing right now, but can I get Sergeant Harris, Chaplain Smith, and Chaplain Kime up here, please? So this kind of an event doesn't happen easily, and I'm in that position now where the Army, well, I won't go too far. I'm in a position now where I say, hey, make it happen, and it happens. And I appreciate the support of people. Military has a tradition of giving coins to people that have done something well. And what it says is it's typically a commander's coin for excellence. The one who's working the most today is still working, so she's coming up right now. But this is our Joint Base Chaplain's coin. And so for me, this is an opportunity to recognize these 3 people who have done a lot to make this happen. And I want to say thank you both, all 3 of you, for doing this. And it's always done as a handshake, right? So I want to give a few minutes. We're getting lunch set up now, but we have about 10 minutes or so to open it up for questions and answers. So let me get some involvement. What did y'all think today? You do have a feedback form in your bullet or in your book there. But what questions can we answer from all the stuff presented to you today?